Hi, good morning and welcome to the ZP FoodSense webinar. We like to do this webinar every week and it's really part of our support for the technology and also our support for our clients. So let me essentially dive straight into it and just answer some questions this week. So the FoodSense has kind of two modules associated with it, an electrochemical one and a spectrochemical one, and I'll kind of go a little bit faster. But FoodSense really is a technology for doing food quality testing things like the capsaicin in chili or the gingerol in ginger, or the total antioxidative status of a product. Total antioxidative status is an indicator of how many antioxidants are in the product, and it is actually an indicator of shelf life, etc. So I'll go a little bit faster now and say that this week I will talk about FoodSense generally, but I'll also touch upon measuring the pungency of mustard oil. And there's a molecule in mustard oil called Allyl Isothiocyanate, which I will be really thinking about while talking about this. Just to say that if you are a FoodSense customer or you're thinking of becoming a FoodSense customer, everyone gets personal online training. So as soon as the sort of module arrives, we get online with you. We have laboratories, obviously, at ZP, so we can demonstrate from our laboratory what we're doing, and you can follow along, and you can show us what you're doing, and it works really quite well. We do have the weekly webinars. So a technical question came in, I think it was yesterday, about analyzing or testing the pungency of mustard oils. And we're able, because we have these weekly webinars, then we were able to kind of wrap it up into this week's webinar. We do have monthly webinars and demos. So next week, I think it's the 14th of December, there's a live streaming demo. We do them live streaming because one of the big things, let's say, about FoodSense is that it should be easy to use in rapid testing. And so by doing it live, we can actually demonstrate that is the case. So if you're a FoodSense customer, especially what we call Generation 4. Generation 4, I don't have a slide on it today, but that will be in the webinar. But Generation 4 kind of says, you have your sample, you put your sample on the sensor, we analyze, or the sensor gives you a result, let's say, and you get it immediately on your phone. But also the result goes to the cloud and is stored online. So if you then need support from ZP, you can actually allow us access to that raw data and we can then support you. So that's why it's really good to be what we call a Generation 4 FoodSense customer. And if you have an application that's not currently on the list, and I'll touch upon the list again in a minute, then also reach out to us as well, because we're always interested in new applications. So there is a webinar next week on the 14th of December. If a link pops up, by the way, I'll make sure I put it underneath the video, underneath the YouTube video at the end as well. So let me go forward a little bit faster and say this is FoodSense Generation 4. This is the electrochemical platform. It's really elegant because of its mechanical aspects. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's not like a large laboratory instrument, like an HPLC, high pressure liquid chromatography, that is GC, gas chromatography. It's not that kind of device. It has a very nice mechanical aspect. You can just put the sensor into it and it just clicks up and closes on the sensor. It has these LEDs. When you power it on, you get a white LED. When you make a Bluetooth connection to it, it goes blue. When the assay is running, it flashes green. And when the assay is uploaded to the cloud, it goes green. So it goes solid green. So it's got a nice kind of, I wouldn't say traffic light system, but a nice light system as well. And these are just some pictures of that system. I just want to say good morning to Aftab. Who's Aftab is the CEO of a company called Technando, or the company called Technando in India, and they are our distributors and our representatives in India. So I'll go a little bit. So if you've got a Android phone at the moment and it's got a QR code reader on it, you can flash that onto this. This will download the Sense It All app. I don't have a slide on this morning, but I suppose what I want to say is there's an app. And this QR code will give you the app on your Android. And then, if I go forward, you can always rewind if you missed that bit. We have chili. So if you're interested in measuring the capsaicin or the Scoville heat units of chili, you can scan that code. If you're interested in measuring the gingerol in ginger, you can scan this code. This one is really more for the kind of agricultural guys and the water quality guys. This is nitrate. But total antioxidative status TAS is an indicator for measuring the amount of antioxidants in a product. As a product degrades, the amount of antioxidants decreases, and so TAS is also a good indicator of shelf life as well. So each one of those QR codes, so it's one app, but then the app can be used for various analytes or food types. Now I'm going to go specifically to the question that's come in this week. And the question that's come in this week really is about measuring the pungency of mustard oil. Now, the pungency of mustard oil, the molecule that is kind of, if we talked about chili, the molecule that gives you the hotness of chili is capsaicin. If we're going to talk about ginger, the molecule that gives you the pungency of ginger is gingerol. If we're talking about mustard oil, the molecule that gives you the pungency of mustard oil is AITC, or Allyl Isothiocyanate. It's useful having a chemistry background and a strong organic chemistry background because it helps you with Allyl Isothiocyanate, which doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. But the molecule in there is Allyl Isothiocyanate, or AITC. It's easier to say AITC. I'm going to now delve into AITC a little bit deeper as well. So AITC it's actually present at quite high concentrations in mustard oil. So 800 to 900 sort of ppm is a kind of, is a sort of an expectation. So it's actually quite high concentration, which makes it one of the easier molecules to detect. I mean, that's the nice thing about, when we talk about the accuracy of FoodSense, what's nice about that is when you're trying to measure capsaicin in chili, capsaicin is quite high. So it's an easier target to hit. When you're trying to measure the gingerol in ginger, by its very nature, the gingerol is quite high, so it's an easier target to hit. And it's the same analogy here with AITC. It's the molecule that gives you the pungency, and it's actually quite high concentration. For analytical sciences, this is super high concentration. Now, these people are quite interested, I think, in actually sending their samples off for testing. But I don't think that's really going to work for them. I think they're going to have to do local testing. The reason I bring that up is, if you look at AITC in something like a mustard oil, now when I look at this, I think if you want to increase the storage life of mustard oil, it's best to kind of keep it fairly cool, fairly dark, obviously out the light, and away from moisture. Now this is obvious, stuff that I'm stating here, but the reason I've stated all of this is because if you measure AITC in a mustard oil, now on day one, it could be quite high. You can have like 1300 ppm of AITC, so that's mega high. But on day sort of 140, then just trying to do some quick calculations here. It's approximately 5.5 months, or 5 months, not 5.5 months, 4.5 to 5 months in, it can actually depreciate you quite considerably. So I've done some calculations on this, and I think that, it can actually decrease at 10 ppm per day. The reason I bring that up then is because if you send it, if you have some mustard oil, or somebody's done some mustard oil testing, by the time you come to use that mustard oil, it could be at a different ppm, just due to the fact that Allyl Isothiocyanate, AITC, is almost, it's not so stable that that this line will be flat over the course of a year. No, this is deteriorating. I think what happens is you don't lose the pungency, because in fact it's so pungent that it kind of overwhelms the also organoleptic sensation, or it overwhelms the kind of receptors in the nose, so therefore you do still get the pungent hit, but in fact the molecule itself is actually deteriorating, or degrading all of the time. So I think that means that you actually have to do on-site testing rather than kind of relying on a certificate of analysis. And I think that's really the whole point about FoodSense as a technology. at the moment, we find that people, if they've got a chili, they may have a certificate of analysis. We can, in our webinars, we discuss where those certificates of analysis are accurate. But I would say that with allyl isothiocyanate, even if you get a certificate of analysis, there is no, as far as I can see, there is no universal accepted, method for it. Some people use HPLC, some people use GC. Both are expensive, and if you do a 1-point test on that, by the time you come to use the product or ship the product, the results will have changed anyway. So you have to do on-site testing. So it's probably worth, if you're interested in testing allyl isothiocyanate, is probably getting a global perspective on what FoodSense is. So I think the live streaming webinars are useful for that. We obviously have two platforms, what I call spectrochemical and electrochemical, and I suspect that we would end up using the spectrochemical platform for AITC. The molecule isothiocyanate, or allyl isothiocyanate, is applicable to our platform, but the molecules that we today and the applications that we have on the FoodSense platform are chili, ginger, nitrate, and TAS. And so at this moment, if you download the app, you won't find an allyl isothiocyanate app, let's say, or QR code, because we haven't put it onto there. Now, if you are interested in having that added to the menu, then we're going to have to go into the lab and do some validation of that before we can actually put it onto the app. So if you're in India, then I would say there's a company called Technando, run by the CEO, is called Aftab Alam, and he would be your kind of point of contact to discuss terms and conditions about how we could actually get that onto the app. So at the moment, the app has chili, ginger, nitrate, and TAS. The ones that are used mostly in the food industry are chili, ginger, and TAS. And if you want AITC, then there has to be kind of a commercial arrangement to then bring AITC onto the app. So I would encourage everyone to come to the webinar next week. It's on the 14th of December. We do 2 of them on the day, because that way we can cover the entire globe. There's one in the morning European time, one in the afternoon European time. If you have any questions or any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And if there's any links today that you saw on the slides, then I'll make sure I put them underneath the video afterwards. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I wish you all a good day. Okay, thanks so much.